all of these separate components into a singular form that we can pass the details through from the wizard, and then the wizard will render out the form specific to whichever category we're looking to add items from. That way, instead of having 5 of these different components, ideally I just want to have one. So I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it the add form. I'm going to make sure it's capitalized. There we go. And I'm going to copy everything from Secure Det because that's my latest version. So in the add form, I'm going to be doing this. Now, initially, we're going to try to be adding it as the same state. Will be going to both assets and liabilities, which means that assets might get certain things they don't need, like payment or amortization. But I think it's kind of worth it just to not have the extra form. So we'll see how that works. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to change all occurrences, make sure that it is the add form. Okay, and then basically what we're going to be doing is taking this form. So I'm going to copy this. Now I'm going to replace the first instance that I have. So if we go in here, we see this sort of uglier one. This is our first one that we built that didn't have the colors. It's actually not too ugly. It's just a little too bland without any colors. So we'll be replacing this one with our add form and then kind of go from there, see how it works. So into the wizard, I'm going to copy, whoops, what did I just do? There we are. I'll go here, copy, and then I'm going to call this add form. Okay. Just move this down a little bit so it's out of your way. Okay, so we've got the add form. The first instance here we had short-term assets, so we're going to be replacing that with the add form. And then I'm going to set my count back to 1 so that I can see the one that I want to see. And it's a little slow. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be passing into, we're going to have a series of different add forms, but we're going to be passing into it the category and the subcategory. So the category is assets and the subcategory is short term or something like that. Then from that, in the form itself, that's where it's going to be rendering out all the different items according to what type it is. So we're going to have to use some ternary operators there. I'm going to see what's going on here. Oh, good. So here we are. So this is the Secure Det one that we had passed in, but now we've called it add form. So what I want to do is we're going to start by putting in the props that we're going to pass to it. So I'm going to call it category. And the category here is assets. And then the subcategory, in this case, is short-term assets. And hopefully it's not going to cause a problem if I have a space. We'll see if that ends up causing a problem a little later. So now I'm going to go into add form, and then I'm going to destructure what's being passed into it, both category and subcategory. So we're going into the add form. I'm going to pull in a category and subcategory. So immediately we can see if it's working if I take this category and I just replace it right here. So now it should render assets instead of liability, which was showing before. So let's just refresh this. Good. Yeah, it looks like it's working. Now, what do we want to do? So to make this back to the type that it should be, which is short-term debt, let's see what changes we have to do. Now we're going to have to do some ternary operators, so this might become a little bit of a behemoth in code, which I think is worth it because then we're just still cutting it down from a whole bunch of different components to just one, but we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so I'm going to go into my Adobe XD, where's that? Here we are, and have a look at the first version. So this is short-term assets. And so in this one, we just wanted the property name or the name, the cache value, and the rate of return. Okay, so I wonder if I could pass in these names as props, like cache value, rate of return, if that would be the best way to do it, or if I should do ternary operators. I think I'd like to pass it as a component or a prop that's being passed down into it and then rendering it. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. We're going to go back into Wizard to add form. I'm going to call this the range bar label, and I'll say cache value. So if I go into the add form here, now the range bar label, what we're looking for, yeah, we'll have to think a little bit. Which range bar? So current value label. That's what I'm going to call it, current value label. So then I can put it in here, because then I can differentiate when it's a range bar, because there's so many different range bars. Back to Wizard, I'm going to call this the current value label. This is coming in to my add form. I've got to destructure it in. And the label for the current value will be this label that's being passed in. So let's see if that works. That's kind of strange. I don't think anybody's using that. Yeah, it's not working. So we're going to have to replace this mortgage starting balance and then take out this date in the event that it's an asset. So let's have a look here. This is going to take a lot of thinking on my end to get this to all work out, but let's see. So the range bar is right here. In this case, we're going to have it be the current value. First off, I just want to see if the label's working. So here we go. So we had passed this in as the information or the props, and so now it's showing as our label for our value. So that's nice. And then we can still be changing it. I also want to take out the date. So I'll show you how I would take out the date and also change the colors according to what type it is. So if I go into the date, basically what I would do is I would just throw in some JavaScript here, and then I would say I just do a ternary operator. I'd say, does the subcategory equal subcategory equal secured debt? And if it does, then we're going to have this date input. Otherwise, we won't have anything, because there's only one instance where we actually put in the debt input, and that's when it's a secured debt. So let's see what that does. Perfect. So now that's gone. But now if we were passing in secured debt, if that was the name, then that's where we would have that date option. And then similarly, for the title, I'm going to just call it the subcategory. Ooh, I don't like how I don't have this properly named. Change all occurrences. And just make sure that I'm passing it in like so. So subcategory, yes, okay. Back into the add form. So the title that's going to be being rendered here will be subcategory. And you'll notice that it should then go to lowercase all around. So we might use some Lodash. I'm just going to pause